What's going on, guys? My name is Jason Joseph. This is Play by Play with JJ. I hope you're all having yourselves an all right night, even though I'm a little bit sick to my stomach. Before we dive into everything, I just want to remind you guys: make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon too, so that way you know when I upload, whenever I go live for a Sixers cast, a Sixers game, a Phillies cast, a Phillies game, or a Patriots or Flyers cast as well. So with that being said, let's enjoy the show, because there's a lot to unpack here. So, when I'm looking at this game in totality tonight, okay, am I disappointed? I am very disappointed. I cannot lie to you. I don't feel good. I feel very sick to my stomach with everything that I just watched tonight, because Boston just did the little things correctly. What do I mean by that? They were getting the second chance opportunities, it felt like, so many more times than Philly was. And they made big time shots. Every time that the Sixers went on a run, the Celtics had a response. They silenced the crowd in Philadelphia. They did everything that they possibly could to just out physical or out physically play the Sixers. And I'll be honest, maybe I'm being a little bit emotional right now. I'm a little bit lost for words, because it's just every category. The Sixers were in it. They shot the ball a lot better from three this time around, even though, and we'll get into this, but how many wide open passes were being passed up on in that first half? That's a whole nother point, but it literally just felt like Boston sucked the life out of Philadelphia tonight. I'm not telling you that the series is over. I'm not telling you that Boston is going to win the series, because I still don't know. I will tell you, though, the Sixers, they got goal number one done by getting home court advantage and splitting one out of two in Boston. And tonight, it really felt like you had a chance to go up and win this game and be up 2-1 in the series. And we all know that the percentages of being up 2-1 in the series is much greater, for winning the series than if it's just 1-2. You didn't accomplish the goal. PJ Tucker, while I acknowledge the fact that he shot more threes tonight, I'm very bothered that he only had one rebound. It makes me very unhappy. This team did a really good job at trying to out-hustle their opponent in the first round. And I understand that Boston's a different beast compared to Brooklyn. Okay, I'm not telling you that you're wrong about that, because, no, you're right. But I expected more, fight, claw your way back into the game, okay? Like the ping pong balls, sometimes they're not going your way, and it's a 50-50 chance that that you're gonna get it. But those little things, diving for the loose balls and just sticking your hand in the cookie jar and those types of things, the Sixers just haven't been doing it at that elite level that they were against Brooklyn, and that is what ticks me off. That's what makes me really frustrated. Because those plays is why Boston won this game. And the last game, too. On top of that, the Sixers weren't making their threes, and Boston was making theirs at an enormous rate. But this game was winnable. And that leads me to my next point. Harden, you had a bad night in Game 2. I was fine with that. Tonight, though, I saw so many passed up opportunities that you could have went in the paint to just score the rock. I have not seen mid-range James Harden. I have not seen this guy going to the rim, finishing. When the Sixers need a bucket, the reason why that they got you is because you have that in you, okay? You're not Ben Simmons. You are not Ben Simmons. And tonight, I actually thought in some ways, even though he took 13 shot attempts or 14 and he was 3 for 14, I felt like I was watching Ben Simmons out there some of the time, to be honest with you, on offense. And that really frustrated me. Tonight, he played terrible. He had 5 turnovers. It didn't look like he had the poise out there, to go out there and just make his shots, and be aggressive. I think that is the main thing that has been separating Boston from Philly over the past 2 games. Boston has been the more aggressive team. They've been very assertive in the paint. They've also been really doing a good job at shooting the 3. Actually, I take that back. They haven't been doing a good job at shooting the 3, but I will tell you that they've been making so many timely threes because the Sixers aren't getting as many opportunities. And when the possessions really, 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 really do matter, the Celtics have gotten the better end of the Sixers. I'm going to get to your calls in just a little bit because I do want to hear what you guys have to say. But there's a couple of other points that I wanted to make. So I said PJ Tucker only had 1 rebound. That's a problem. That has to be better. Boston was just so much better in the fast break. And that just goes to show, diving for loose balls, trying to save balls out of bounds. Like when Robert Williams made that nice, little save, and Jason Tatum's, flying up in the air, making the catch. Okay, and those types of things are happening, and they're getting second, third, and fourth chance opportunities. You're gonna lose a lot of games. They're boxing you out. Leap up over them. The only person that I saw doing that tonight, besides Embiid, was DeAnthony Melton. Melton had 4 steals in the game. He also had a block. He had 8 rebounds, and that's what I love about DeAnthony Melton. But other guys have to do that. If Tobias Harris, if you're not making your shots, if you're 3 for 6 from the field and you only have 7 points, rebound the basketball. Get down low and box out and leap up for those rebounds. Meanwhile, this dude's in foul trouble. You're a veteran. You got to be better. Joel, he looks good out there, but he even said himself, we missed a lot of layups and floaters, he said. And with the way that Boston's playing, it's just drop and kick. They have to do a much better job with the pace. And I thought that Embiid, I understand that he's still getting his legs back under him. He has to be better with the pacing of everything. I thought Mark Jackson said something that was really kind of unique from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Okay, I was listening to the Sixers postgame show. And what he had to say is, so I think it was, they were going around the room asking, what has scared you most about Boston from this game? And I thought he had a really good point. He said that the fact that when you look at the Brooklyn series and you see what Brooklyn was doing against Joel Embiid, they didn't have the bodies like Boston has. And they were literally double-teaming him and triple-teaming him and putting everybody on him just to take him out. Boston, tonight I saw that there were a lot of times, even in that second half, where Marcus Smart was guarding Joel Embiid. And he said that, well, if Embiid's not getting double-teamed as much and Marcus Smart is doing a good job on him, even though I thought that there were times where Embiid outplayed him, but if Marcus Smart is guarding you a lot more, That should be a concern. And I thought that it certainly was in tonight's game. And if they're going to take game 4, they're going to have to figure out ways to draw the double team and make him be the threat. Because if Marcus Smart's not getting schooled down low by Joel Embiid, you're not going to get guys wide open looks. And now, they're not going to have to double team you as much. And you want them to do that. So that's how I look at it from that sense. And I thought that Mark Jackson said some really, really good things. And I just thought that that was one that I had to just write down, because that also concerns me too. So the other thing that really bugged me tonight was Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, and James Harden. They combined to shoot, 10 for 36 from the field. So your other 3 supporting cast members besides Joel literally only shot 10 for 36 from the field. And what was the total amount of points? They had 36 points? 36 points combined. That's unacceptable. You know what that tells me? That tells me that A, Toby needs to be getting more touches, and B, it also tells me that they just have to do a better job at finding the open man, and that they were holding the ball for too long, and that James has been in his head, and Maxey has been in his head. They need to play free basketball. And in order to do that, the ball just has to keep moving. Okay? Fast pace. Give up the ball. But also, don't be too unselfish, because I've seen that at times too. Take your own shots and literally don't force anything. I thought that Tyrese Maxey forced a lot of shots tonight, and that was not comfortable to watch from a fan's perspective. We want him to keep shooting, but there's a difference between forcing shots and taking shots with a rhythm. And I thought tonight that he was forcing a lot of his shots. But yeah, 36 combined points between your other 3 supporting cast members. And only 1 rebound by P.J. Tucker. Tucker, Harris, and Reed as a whole got you 6 rebounds. Unacceptable. I kind of wish that Paul Reed was kind of in P.J. Tucker's ear, because Tucker played for 25 minutes, and the fact that you only got 1 board, that's it, 1 board. And when you came over to the team, your job was just to get, as many rebounds as possible. You were able to do that in the Brooklyn series. Why can't you do it here? I don't know. But anyhow, if you guys are in the Discord server, we can take a couple of calls. But the other thing I wanted to mention too, and I wanted to be sure that I got this off my chest, is that Doc Rivers said that we had lanes, quote, but there was no force. Lots of missed layups and floaters. And you know what that tells me? That tells me, A, I give Robert Williams a lot of credit, because he was doing such a great job in the paint, dominating on the defensive side. This dude had 3 blocks, and I think he also had a steal too. Yeah, he did. He had a steal, and Grant Williams was doing a really good job guarding that area too. So if they're saying no to the paint, just like Joel Embiid was for the Sixers on the defensive side, then what you have to do is you have to try to play better on the perimeter. If your bread and butter was, finding the open man and shooting threes, that's what you got to do more. You have to make your threes. The role players did not step up tonight, but the Sixers just weren't. They weren't playing their brand of basketball. It just felt like even when the Sixers were cutting it down really closely, I didn't feel like that the Sixers had like any sort of need to take over this game. I just didn't think that they were going to take it over. Like they were clawing their way back in and they were making it close, but then the Celtics just had the answers every single time, and when they didn't have the answers, they either A, got a stop on one end, or B, they got second chance opportunities by making the little things pop out. The Jason Tatum, leaping up in the air to make a nice catch and then just put a three up in Tobias Harris's face. Those things. And then Al Horford just made shots down the stretch. If you're not getting back on defense and they're just, like boom, 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 passing it around the timeline, finding the open man, you're playing on your heels. And that should not be happening. You, as the person that is playing defense, you need to make them think, what are we going to do with the ball now? It just seemed like a lot of the times that the Celtics had the ball, there was fluidity. There was a sense of, this is what our game plan is, and we're going to make you go on your heels and make you uncomfortable. Because you have to go through us. It's not going to win you a lot of games. And the margin for error on that needs to be very, very minimal. Is the series over, though? That's my question that I want to ask you, because it's not. It's not over. This game stings, and you have every right to feel the way that you feel about it, okay? I know that this is that this could kind of lead into a different conversation, but I was having a conversation with my dad the other day. We were in the car. I was really sad, okay? And I was thinking about my brother, who unfortunately passed away, but he said, he asked me like why I wasn't feeling good, and I told him that was why. And he said to me, Jason, I can't tell you how to feel, because you can feel the way that you feel, but at the same time, like, things are going to pop up, but you got to try to focus on the good things that are coming too. And it's a lot easier said than done, but in order to move forward, you have to try to kind of focus on those things. And so tying that all back together in a bow, I can't tell you how to feel about the way that the Sixers have played tonight and how that makes me feel moving forward. I can't tell you how to feel. I just know that both of these teams are going to find ways to make this series so competitive. And the Sixers aren't done yet. What do they have to do to respond? We'll talk about that a whole nother time. I will say one thing is that guys have to be ready to shoot the basketball. I saw on paper that the Sixers took more shot attempts from three, but again, I'm going to reiterate this again. It felt forced. It didn't feel natural. It didn't feel organic. It seemed like every time somebody got the ball, it was either A, an ISO type of a situation, or B, we're going to be so unselfish to the fact where I don't even want the ball anymore. Somebody else has to shoot it, and then they look confused when they shoot the basketball, and it doesn't feel organic. Going back to the whole James Harden thing, that was pathetic. I don't really think I gave that a whole enough attention as it should have with how James Harden played tonight. He was horrible. He was absolutely horrendous tonight. Can he bounce back? Yeah, he can certainly bounce back, but tonight was terrible. He wasn't taking the mid-range jumpers, okay? When he had open opportunities to make a play, he passed them up. It does remind me of Ben Simmons in that sense because Ben, at times, didn't want the spotlight on him. And if you're not making your shots, you have to try to make an impact in other ways. That just has to be the thing. You can't just be dishing out the rock. You have to try to go for rebounds or, okay, just try to do something else. Set screens. Go into the dunker spot and try to, tip out, second chance opportunities to other people. Now, he did at the very end of the game. I have to acknowledge this, okay? He didn't play really well throughout the game, but in the fourth quarter, I did see one thing. There was, one possession where he saved a ball that was going out of bounds, and I think it was off. So there was a bad pass that he made. It was stolen away by Tatum, and then Harden got back on defense. He played on the ball, and then he was trying to fight for he tried to steal the basketball, and then the ball was about ready to go out of bounds, and he saved it, and I think he passed it to Tyrese Maxey, and then somebody made a three, and then Harden came back, and he made a three. That was huge, because at that point, the Sixers were only down by 6. Problem is that a lot of the times when he had the ball, if his shots weren't falling, he was a liability. And the Sixers can't have that. They need James Harden to be James Harden. But they also need Joel Embiid to be Joel. So, but that's pretty much my thoughts on this game. I thought that Doc didn't do a terrible job tonight. I really just think that at the end of the day, the players have to execute. I'm going to quote Joel Embiid on that. Players have to execute. He said that he has to be better, and he does. But it's also on his teammates to, step up too. This should fuel them. This needs to be a game where they say to themselves, you know what? We need to be going after loose balls. We have to show not just the fans, but we need to show Boston what we're made of, okay? This is how we're going to play basketball. We're not playing on your terms. You want to pick and pop? You want to shoot the three, okay? You want to come at us with a zone? This is how we're going to respond. Okay, you want to have Marcus Smart on Joel Embiid? Embiid needs to make you pay for that. You have to make them feel more uncomfortable. And they're going to continue to make adjustments. How will the Sixers respond? And what adjustments will they make? It's a rhetorical question. But again, I'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys have anything to say down below. Do we have any comments on here? I don't think we do. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, so the series is not over. It's not over. The problem now is that you're gonna have to win one in Boston, though. And you can do it. I knew that this was going to be a big series. That this was not going to be easy whatsoever. I'm not too down on this team, even though this feels like it is a gut punch in a sense. But I also know that crazy things have happened. And it's going to come down to the wire. I still think it's going to go at least to 6 games. If not, still 7. But Boston's been playing better. I give Joe Mazzulla a lot of credit. I tip my cap to him. I thought that, Jason Tatum had a cold night, even though he had 26 points. If you look at the stats, that's one thing, but the eye test tells you another thing. And somehow, some way, other guys were still able to make the Sixers pay. But they don't really have too much time to turn this around. At the same time, though, the adjustments need to come. And I'm sure that the Sixers will shoot better. I'm sure that James Harden will try to play a lot better. But it's disappointing. And you have to make them accountable. 2 for 13, 2 for 14. That means that you're basically 4 for 27 over your last 2 games. Unacceptable. And you got to be better. All right, with that, we're going to shut things down. I want to thank you all so much for coming on here to tune in to my cast. I'm going to check the phones one more time. Nope, nobody's there. But I want to thank you all so much for listening. Okay, we will be back on tomorrow night for a Phillies cast. And then we'll be back on Sunday to talk about Game 4 and then go on for Game 4 and do a post-game show for that as well. But if you're new to my channel, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon too, so that way you know when I upload or when I go live for a Sixers game. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I love you all so much. I'm happy that we reached 340 subscribers tonight. I really can't thank you enough for everything that you've been doing with this community and the amount of support that I've had along this whole journey over the last 4 months. It's been absolutely incredible, and I cannot thank you all enough for everything. All right? I love you all so much. Lila Tov, and I will catch you all on the next one.